Hi, this is astronaut Jose M. Hernandez inviting you to the 7th Annual Leadership Summit being organized by the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. It's going to be held in Irving, Texas, September 12th and 13th. This year's theme is Empowering Excellence, Uniting Innovation and Impact in Latino Healthcare Leadership. I don't know about you, but I love innovation. And I'll talk a little bit about my story in the area of innovation and healthcare, along with my experiences of how I became an astronaut, and also about the movie that just got released, A Million Miles Away. So hopefully we'll see you there in Irving, Texas, September 12th and 13th. Look forward to being there. Once again, astronaut Jose Hernandez inviting you to this great leadership summit. Be there.
Buenas tardes. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to this virtual meeting via LinkedIn Live. On behalf of the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives, also known as NALHE, we thank you for joining us in this conversation on Career Launchpad, Insights from Emerging Leaders. My name is Stephen Foster. I'm currently the Market President for St. Luke's Health in South Houston. I'm co-founder of NALHE Houston, born in Mexico City and raised in Texas. I have 7 years of experience in academic medical centers, 7 years in for-profit, including international, and 8 years in faith-based organizations. It is a pleasure to be here with you on behalf of NALHE. And I would like to take a few minutes to share a bit about our professional association. Did you know NALHE was founded in 2005? It's an association of leaders in the healthcare field committed to fostering a culture of authenticity. We support diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. We promote diverse perspectives and ideas that provide opportunities for Latinos, Latinas, and multicultural individuals to have a role, a voice, and a seat at the table. NALHE's presence extends across the United States through various chapters. Our membership continues to grow and is represented by students, beginners, and mid to senior level executives, physicians, nurses, and other health and industry professionals. Together, we ensure that we are advancing our mission and creating opportunities to leadership, professional development and advancement, and community engagement. Te invitamos, we invite you to join and connect with NALHE family. We have developed this afternoon's program to offer hope, perspective, inspiration, and wisdom. Our programming would not have been possible without our national sponsors at NALHE. Many, many thanks to you all. I would also like to give a special thanks to the author, Dr. Harvey Castro, whose book, Success Reinvention, was part of La Mesa Emerging Leaders program. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and thank you again for joining us. Now, I would like to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Arthur Soto, our moderator for tonight's session. Arthur?
Thank you, Stephen. Hello, everyone. My name is Arthur Soto. I graduated from Pomona College in 2019 with my bachelor's degree in neuroscience. I then started working as a clinical research coordinator for Houston Methodist, located in Houston, also within their neurology department for 4 years. During that time, I obtained my dual master's in business and healthcare administration from Texas Women's University back in 2023. And I'm currently a financial analyst for Houston Methodist since December of 2023. I am also NALHE La Mesa Emerging Leaders Program alum of 2022, co-chair, and head of the mentorship committee. And now I would like to welcome our panel to the virtual stage and have them introduce themselves and share a little bit about their career journey so far. First, we'll start with Jennifer Blanco.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Blanco. I'm one of 4 daughters to Salvadoran immigrants. I'm currently a student at Texas Tech Health Science Center, working towards my master's in healthcare administration, and I'm also a dental organization rep at Carrington International.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up, we have Alex Trinidad.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name's Alex Trinidad. I'm a first-generation Mexican-American. Right now, I'm finishing my master's program at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas, as well as working as a patient care technician at Methodist Hospital here in San Antonio as well. I will be starting as the administrative resident at Scottish Rite Hospital in Dallas, Texas in January 2025.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Next up, we have Jorge Garcia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jorge Garcia. I started my healthcare journey when I started in HIV work within my undergraduate studies. There, I got my bachelor's in business administration with a minor in public health. I then went on to get my master's of healthcare administration at the University of Illinois, Chicago, where I was a graduate administrative intern at Northwestern Medicine. And then I proceeded afterwards working within the Canning Thoracic Institute at Northwestern Medicine.
Thank you, Jorge. And lastly, we have Natalie Cordero.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. I am currently an associate project manager at Northwell Health in the Department of, in the Center for Equity of Care. I started my healthcare journey at the University of Virginia. I got my bachelor's degree there with a double major in global public health and medical anthropology. And then I went on to get my master's in public health at Columbia Mailman School of Public Health, where I focused on population and family health, and then also got a certificate in health promotion, research, and practice. I'm so glad to be here today.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to our question portion of the panel today. We'll start off with Jennifer. What significant challenges or setbacks did you face early in your career, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges that I have faced and I currently am facing is finding my space within the healthcare industry. Coming from more patient-facing roles and teaching roles, I found it difficult to, in transitioning it more into administrative roles, I found it difficult to find the space where I can continue to, emphasize patient-centered care, as well as use those soft skills like collaboration with the patient and empathy. But I do think through my master's program and even through organizations, meeting new people through organizations like NALHE and La Mesa, I've learned a lot about different roles that I can have as a healthcare leader, where I can continue to feel that tie to the patient without having that face-to-face interaction with them.
Yeah, I'll jump in here next. For me, I think a lot of my challenges and setbacks started with my initial journey of undergraduate. There, I had to deal with not only COVID, but also my first institution closed as a result of COVID. So having to transfer from my first institution and then having to transfer a second time just because that wasn't the right fit for me. And I was kind of forced into a situation. It was very difficult to maneuver, especially as a first generation student in my family. I think I had to really lean on my resources, my advisors, and really trust that I was making the right decisions and sticking to what I wanted to study and ultimately end up in healthcare.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer and Alex, for those responses. So what I'm hearing essentially is overcoming unforeseen circumstances, whether that's at work or through your education, finding resources and friends and organizations to kind of help overcome them, get that guidance that you need. So thank you for that. Next question we have, what are some risks worth taking in the early stages of a career, and how do you evaluate them? First off, we'll start with Natalie.
Yeah. So I think my first thought here is that if it's considered a risk, it's because it's possible that you might fail, and that it might not go as planned. But if you're even considering it, it also means that there is some value and some growth to be found in that opportunity. I tend to be the person that jumps right at a challenge or at an opportunity for growth, but that's really because I'm so early in my career and that's necessary. But my advice to evaluate whether you should, take those risks is to really think about whether the growth is worth the risk. And if it is, I say do it scared, right? because that means that you have something to lose, but it also means that there is a large opportunity for growth, right? So I say do it, go for it. If it looks like the growth will be greater than the failure.
To add on a little bit to that, I think as sort of emerging leaders, we have the opportunity to really sort of connect with people who've already done it before, people who have sort of been in our shoes maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago. So really sort of putting yourself out there, connecting with those people who are maybe senior level leadership, and ask them how they got to their sort of seat, what sort of journeys they saw, and how to sort of overcome barriers. Because in this sort of journey, we need mentors and we need mentorship, which we're going to discuss very soon. But I think it's important to sort of put yourself out there, connect with people, and really get a whole sort of picture and journey of the whole sort of healthcare administration field.
So being in mid-career, I can't, agree more with really everything that's been said already. And then when I look back at my career, I took calculated risk. I left MD Anderson after being there for 7 years because my mentor, to your point, pushed me out, said, "You're too comfortable here." And I went into international healthcare. Some would call that a risk. I would look back now, and I think that was very risky, and it worked out. So my advice to young careerists is always take risk because it'll separate you from others, but they're calculated risks. Know the companies, know the positions, do your research, because I know many of my colleagues and some took risk and it didn't work out. It did in my case, but study your risk and know what you're willing to live with. So absolutely agree with what the panelists have said, and it's helped me in my career as well.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your responses. Of course, it's very important to take risks, especially early on in your career, even if you're scared. As Natalie said, do it scared. But as well as Stephen mentioned, do your homework, study your risks, make calculated risks, and also reach out to other mentors, people in your organization, people in your affinity groups like NALHE, for those resources and that mentorship, that guidance, which is actually the perfect segue to our next question here. How did mentorship and networking impact your early career growth? What strategies did you use to build your network? We'll start off with Alex.
Yes, thank you, Arthur. Yeah, for me, I've definitely relied on mentorship and that impacting my career trajectory thus far. Of course, I'm still really early on in my career, just starting as a resident this upcoming year. But I think that's all thanks to a lot of the base that my mentors have created for me. Just in my program that I'm in for my MHA, there's already a lot of concrete mentors that you get along the way that are provided for you, whether that be through professors or just alumni of the program. But even with La Mesa, I've been presented with a lot more opportunities to gain mentorship. My mentor being here today, Stephen Foster, who I've turned to a lot in recent months now for some guidance in starting this journey as an administrative resident. I think that in these mentorships, that having to trust that they want you to be the best version of yourself really is something that I've learned through mentorship, but also you have to do the work on your side as well. Be a good mentee, being interested in what you're asking, asking those questions. That's really everything that you need to do to gain the most out of those experiences. And for me, mentorship has meant so much to me that as I progress in my career, I really want to be a mentor to others coming in, and that whole giving back, it really means a lot to me. So that's how I would start off that.
To add on a little bit to that, I think when I was in UIC, my first and second year, I remember feeling sort of very lost of next steps, right? Do I want to pursue operations? Do I want to pursue project management? what do I even want to pursue? Healthcare is such a vast sort of field that I relied a lot on sort of reaching out to people who were in my shoes a few years ago. So what I decided to do, since I went to the University of Illinois, Chicago for my MHA, I reached out to people on LinkedIn who were alumni. I said, hey, like, I saw your journey. Could I get 15, 30 minutes of your time? And that was a very sort of easy approach, right? Very sort of easy connection to make. We were all able to sort of engage from there. And I think it really sort of paid dividends, right? I was able to connect with them when I was a student, and I still connect with a lot of them now. And I think to add on a little bit to the previous point, like, I'm at a point where I finished up my MHA degree past 1 year, and I am reaching out to those students, right? I did remember feeling sort of lost, and I want to be a resource to any sort of person who wants to sort of need help. So I try to make that a big goal of mine.
I'll jump in here as well. I think that mentorship has been incredibly important for me in the past year as I moved in from like being in school and doing my master's degree into the workforce. Mentors really just help you build the tools you need to grow. They're there and they're accessible and they're willing to help. So I think it's incredibly important. I will say, in the past year, I have gained an incredible mentor. She might be here today, Melissa. I saw her on LinkedIn, and with the way we connected, I was like reading through a post she had made, and she mentioned Omega Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. It's a sorority we're both in, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, I have to reach out to her. We have this like common thread, and she's in the healthcare field. I have to talk to her, and that's a thing that I will recommend you do. Right, use your network, right, and find that common thread and leverage that. And after that, like that first session I had with her was incredible. We talked about everything from improving our LinkedIn to improving my LinkedIn. She gave me pointers on what certifications I should get. And then she invited me to, I think it was like Healthcare Leaders of New York event to network. And I was like, I was really nervous. I was like, I've never done that before. She's like, just come, follow me. We'll do it together. It'll be okay. And at that event, I actually met someone from an organization I submitted an application to, and she connected me. We talked. He put in a good word for me. I think I say all this to say that mentors are really there to just equip you with the tools to support you, and to get you in the right places in front of the right people. So really, really do leverage that and leverage your own network, right? And use those common threads.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your responses. Of course, I myself can resonate with the feeling of feeling lost, not knowing what kind of area within healthcare, especially coming from a similar background, pursuing that dual master's degree and working within already in the healthcare field and kind of navigating that realm. And of course, trying to leverage your networks, reaching out to people. We live in a day and age where we can just reach out to anyone on LinkedIn, as well as our recruiters, people we go to school with, and beyond, different organizations that we want to be a part of. And of course, paying it forward, paying it back to those who have helped us, as well as paying it to those who are following our footsteps as well, going through those similar struggles as well. So thank you all for that. Next question we have today. What role has continuous learning played in your career development, and how do you approach it? We'll start off with Jorge.
Yeah, thank you. As for continuous improvement, I think the mindset of being sort of genuinely curious is very important, right? I remember being in school and thinking, oh, when I leave school, I have so much knowledge and so much sort of opportunities. But I think the opportunity really came when I just became very genuinely curious in my weekly one-on-ones, in my sort of monthly one-on-ones with whoever, really asking the silly questions, because there really is no sort of silly questions within healthcare administration. So I found a lot of sort of growth there. And what really sort of delved me to really pursue these opportunities was putting myself in good sort of mentorship opportunities, having a great team that sort of knows where I want to be, that they know that the questions that I'm asking are for my personal growth and for the team and department's personal growth. So I found a lot of sort of value in that.
Yeah, just jumping in here, I think continuous learning for me has allowed me to leverage my experiences into new opportunities, as they have presented themselves. I've always strived to learn as much as I could in any role I was in, whether, that was as a cashier at Sonic, which was my first role. And I think the passion to learn has led me to where I am now, which is, on the verge of completing my master's program, which is something that I didn't think I was capable of. But I've taken opportunities outside of work and outside of school to take courses and complete certifications that I feel would benefit me as my role as a student, or even as an early careerist in healthcare. And I think the amalgamation of all of that, has given me more of a well-rounded understanding of this field that's always changing. And I don't look at the chance to learn something new as a burden or as work, which a lot of us do. It's just extra work. But I think of it as an opportunity, to gain more opportunities. And even recently, I was given a very small role. I just had to translate one email in a project for a completely different team. But I took that and I really studied, and I asked questions about what the team did. And now that's manifested itself into an opportunity to represent the company next week, actually, at the National Latino Behavioral Health Conference. So, just taking the opportunities and turning them into more opportunities, I think it's so important.
Yeah, just adding on to what both of them have already said a lot of, but for continuous learning for me has also just been me wanting to be that best version of myself. I think a lot of it's come with self-reflection and using those things that I'm not maybe so good at and trying to better myself in those areas. I think that's especially crucial in an area like healthcare, where, like Jennifer mentioned, it's always changing. So being able to adapt and be versatile in your role, I think, is very important. But also just having that competitiveness to you. I think that competitive edge is good, to always want to be learning as much as possible and gaining as much knowledge as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you all for that. Of course, very important to always be learning, even whether it's in the classroom, whether it's at your place of employment, and taking every single opportunity as a chance to build a well-rounded perspective and for potential growth. And of course, hearing everyone's accomplishments from that was very inspiring. So thank you for that. Next question, we'll start off with Jennifer. How important is diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and what steps can early careers take to promote it?
Yeah, I think diversity and inclusion contribute to a healthy workplace. Diversity in the workplace can mean many different things, and it's important to account for all of the ways diversity manifests itself. Diversity and inclusion emphasizes creativity, and it brings different perspectives from people with different backgrounds. It ties different generations and personalities and ethnicities together. And I think it allows the workplace culture to really flourish, because it really places value in the employee, and it makes the employee feel more valued as well. And I think as an early careerist, you have to educate yourself and encourage others to educate themselves as well. I think the only way that you can promote it is if you're able to recognize those implicit biases within yourself, and even within the company's policies or their practices as well, just to, start that path towards change. And you just have to be an advocate for inclusion in your organization. I think even in my current role, we don't have access to affinity groups, which I think are so important, but I can recognize that my team and the leadership team is made up of historically underrepresented groups. And I do think that if we had access to these affinity groups, it would help us, feel more recognized and feel more empowered, and really push us forward in our careers. And, that's something that hopefully soon it'll, manifest itself outside of just my team.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a great question. I work at the Center for Equity of Care at Northwell, and so this is at the center of what we do. I think a diverse workforce is incredibly important. It creates an engaged workforce, a workforce that is excited to go into work, a workforce that is excited to contribute, and that creates in turn an innovative workforce, right? A workforce that comes up with creative solutions, like Jennifer said, a workforce that is ready to solve the problems that they see, whether that is within your healthcare system or within whatever kind of organization that you work in. And I think for early careerists, what I would say is that in order to bring that value into your workplace, what I do personally is that I look at everything through an equity lens, right? Whatever projects that fall on my lap, whatever new things or whatever conversations I'm brought into, I make sure to be the person that brings up the equity piece, the diversity piece. How will this affect, whether that's our patients, how will this affect our community, how will this affect our team, right? And always bringing in that lens, be that person, right, that asks those important questions. And I think that's the way that you bring that into your workforce.
Absolutely. For the response, of course, looking through everything, not only within ourselves, but also the organization through a DEI lens, kind of evaluating what we can do and what we can do within our own organization to kind of promote these ideas and to move forward. So thank you for that. Next question we have here is, what skills and or traits do you believe are crucial for early careerists to focus on developing? We'll start off with Jorge.
Yeah, okay. I think my internet's better now, but if I start sort of crashing, just feel free to stop me at any time. But as for me, I think just developing the soft skills, being able to communicate effectively with individuals is really, really important, because you want to sort of communicate your why. You want to communicate the journey that you're in. You want to communicate the work that you've done so far and are going to do. So I think it's really, really important to be able to sort of tell that story, tell that journey, and build up the camaraderie, the sort of companionship as you sort of start off with your journey. While I do say this as well, I do think it's important to build up the hard skills. So I do want to acknowledge that as well.
Yeah, just going off of that as well. I think I'll focus more about the traits here, but I think just being a go-getter goes a long way. Being gritty and wanting to do the work that no one else wants to do will go a long way. But with that being said, also not being afraid to fail, and just know that you're going to learn from those mistakes in one way or another. But also, like, more tangible suggestion would be definitely that networking that we've been mentioning so much today.
I was going to jump in and just say I agree with both of you. I get this question a lot, whether it's from early careerists or in mentoring sessions. So you have to be really good at your job, and you have to develop, to your point, the hard skills, because if you don't have that, you're not going to get promoted, right? So harness your skill set, whatever the role that you're in, very well, because ultimately your soft skills will keep you growing within an organization. And the last thing I'll say on it is developing a skill of how to ask the appropriate and the right question is fundamental. And as I mature in my leadership and growth professionally, I don't underestimate the type of question that I get gives me a different answer, right? So the more research that I've done, the more that I know about a topic, the deeper my question will get, and I can get a better answer. So focus on your question, because you'll get better answers because of it.
Absolutely. Thank you all for that. Of course, definitely building up those hard skills, those technical skills to get yourself through the door, but also maintaining those soft skills, that compassion, that empathy for your patients, colleagues, yourself, everyone around you as well. And of course, to Stephen's interesting point, problem framing, being able to formulate a question and making sure that that's the question you're actually trying to answer. And sometimes you may end up with more questions and different answers, but you'll be that much closer to actually finding the true question, the true problem for whatever it is you're solving, whether it's at school or your place of employment. So thank you for that. And then our last question here, we have, If you could go back and give advice to your younger self when starting your career, what would it be? We'll start off with Natalie.
Yeah, thank you. I think I would have kind of three main things to tell myself. The first would be really to embrace uncertainty, right? Even if you don't know what's going to happen next, you don't know what your next step is. You don't like. There's a lot of things that you don't know. Embrace that. I think that when you're in that space, there's just so much possibility. There's so much room to grow. Just take that in, breathe that in for a moment. It's okay. I will also say, I think comparison is definitely the killer of joy. The grass always looks greener on the other side. It's often not the case. And if it does, and it is a little greener on the other side, that just means you have to water your own grass, right? And find ways to grow, to learn. And I think that early on in my career would be one of the biggest things as well. And then the last piece would be to take up space. That space is rightfully yours, even when, the people who you are, I guess, standing next to or competing for the job, right, don't look like you, or, there's just so many things that make you feel like you're not good enough. I would say, you've done the work, you've gotten this far. Right. So just take up that space, right? Own your achievements, believe in your worth, and really talk about them, right? Sell yourself, right? Believe in yourself. I think no one is going to advocate for you as much as you do. And again, those were the things that I think would have really helped me a couple of years ago when I was feeling all this kind of uncertainty of, oh my God, this is so much. What am I going to do? That would have really helped. And then I would just probably tell myself, chill, it's gonna be okay, as just a calming effect. But yeah,
I think going off of everything Natalie said, I think for me, I would have to tell myself to, recognize that I'm more capable of what I perceive myself to be. I tell myself to build up my self-confidence, which is something I continually tell myself, because I think it would help me promote myself, or talk myself up even, and it'll help me present my skills, without having that self-doubt. And I'd tell myself to continue being my own biggest advocate, like Natalie said, and trust that other people will advocate for you too, because I think one of the issues is accepting help. And I think I would have to tell myself, there's a lot of people that are willing to help, and it's okay to accept that help.
Absolutely. Thank you both, Natalie and Jennifer, for that. Of course, being kind of comfortable with the uncomfortable, with the unknown. I know it could be a little scary at first, but of course, there could be a lot of potential opportunity for growth, advocating for yourself, and knowing that others would advocate for you, and being able to not only ask for help, but of course, allowing people to help you as well. Because, of course, just knowing that others will advocate for you. So thank you all for that. And thank you all, everyone, for all your insights and advice. All of you have made such a great impact in healthcare. Now I would like to welcome Elizabeth Godinez for questions and answers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Godinez. I'm a lead project manager at Vizient, a healthcare performance improvement company, and I'm the chair of the NALHE Mesa Emerging Leaders Program. So I'll be facilitating the Q&A portion of our panel tonight, and we have some questions in our chat. So we're going to start with one from Dave Ortiz. Have any of you experienced the dreaded imposter syndrome? If yes, what are some actions, behaviors, or characteristics you would recommend to early careerists to avoid falling victim to imposter syndrome? So I know this is a topic we covered in our La Mesa session, so I'm going to hand it over to Alex Trinidad.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. So yeah, I would start off by saying I think that everyone's going to fall victim to imposter syndrome at some point in time during their career. I think it's a better way to approach it in how we deal with that. Just to give you an example, I've been through it very recently, starting my program at Trinity. I really felt that as like a first generation student, having no real healthcare background besides my 8 months of PCT experience, that I was able to do the things that other people in my class had. You know, some come from parents who have who are physicians or are already executives. So just seeing that and their exposure kind of, you know, puts a damper on the way you feel. But really what I've come to realize is that we're all at the same level. We all know the same, we're all in the same program. We're all going to learn the same things. So it's really how you take your unique background and your uniqueness as a person and apply those learnings to your career and your trajectory, because it's not all going to look the same. Everyone's going to have a different path, and the one you take is really the one that you make. So that's what I would have to say on that question.
I mean, Alex says a lot of truth in that, because we, you know, whether you're early careerist, mid careerist, or even senior careerist, I think we've all experienced it. And I, you know, I would say it's hard to avoid it. The question Mr. Ortiz post is difficult to avoid, because at some stage, especially early careerist, you're going for positions, you're wanting to get promoted, you're wanting to do this. One day somebody's going to give you that position and that chance, and then you're going to say, oh, wait a minute, you gave it to me. Am I ready for this? Internally, you're going to ask those questions. Am I really ready for this? It happened to me when I was promoted and got to the CEO level, and all of a sudden saying, oh my gosh, people trust me to do this now. Should I, you know, am I going to do a good job at this? And you have to rely on your skills. You said it earlier, which was wonderful. You've gone through the school, the education, the experience. Now bring all of that, manifest it forward, and be yourself, your true self. And you can only be the leader that you know you are.
Thank you, Stephen and Alex. That's such great advice, being your authentic self and not being ashamed of who you are, because your insights are important and valid, and your experience is also important and can help shape your community, and you can influence those decisions. So another question from our comments: have any of you had experience participating in or leading an employee resource group or an ERG? If so, how has it impacted your work and the organization's culture? So I can start this one. So at Vizient, we do have employee resource groups. And these are just groups that employees can join and help with the organization culture. So I am part of our Hispanic Latinx employee resource group, and at Vizient, we call them diversity networking associations. So our job is to help drive our internal employees to professional development opportunities, help the organization understand our culture as a Hispanic and Latino, and what are ways that we can impact the community positively, and then also take into account what our employees are needing to help with their career development. So it's been really exciting to get to be a part of those conversations and really advocate for our employees and make sure that we have a seat at the table. So I'm going to hand it over to Arthur Soto, because I believe he also has experience with employee resource groups.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, I actually do, working with Houston Methodist. I've actually been pretty involved with our ERG groups, I think, pretty early on in my career with Methodist. We have, I think, around 7 or 8 affinity groups now, including Black Ties for Culture, Asian Heritage, Moms of Methodist, Fathers of Methodist recently just got added this year, last year, along with Young Professionals, and of course the Hispanic Latinx Alliance and a few others that I've not mentioned. But I'm actually part of 2 affinity groups. I'm part of the Hispanic Latinx Alliance as well as the Young Professionals group. With the Hispanic Alliance, I'm actually part of their board as a treasurer, as well as the Professional Development Committee chair. And then with the Young Professionals, I've been part of their board as the membership committee chair. So kind of just navigating those two ERG affinity groups, scheduling different events around Houston for as well as at different locations of Methodist, since we have quite a bit of locations statewide, and providing those different resources, we get speakers that come to Methodist to talk for those affinity groups. We bring a lot of cultural events, especially for our Hispanic Latinx Alliance. We had like mariachis come in for Hispanic Heritage Month, and a lot of different foods from all over Latin America. And of course, building those like hard technical skills such as like resumes, interviews, things like that, especially for the young professional affinity group. So yeah, I think definitely very critical part of my career here at Houston Methodist.
Thank you, Arthur. So yes, if you have an employee resource group in your organization, we definitely recommend joining. It offers a lot of opportunities, and even at Vizient, we have been able to attend conferences and also join professional development programs like one offered by McKinsey. So it's a great opportunity. So our next question, what advice do you have for early careerists on finding the right job opportunities? And Jorge, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think early on in the career, it's important to get experience rather than look for the perfect job. I think there's times where we sort of think about, we need to find the perfect one, and it's got to take months, and it'll take a year even if I find it. But we're so early on in our career, I think just any experience within healthcare administration is great experience, right? Because you'll be able to sort of say, do I like this? Do I not like this? Okay, I don't like this. I'll pursue something else. And then you can sort of keep passing on that sort of knowledge as you sort of continue on your roles. But I think it's going to sound, it's not the maybe best advice, but I think any experience is better than sort of the perfect job experience. So that's sort of what I would give advice for.
Thank you, Jorge. Jennifer, any advice?
Yeah, I think just like emphasizing what Jorge said, I think just like as early careers, we just have to take any opportunity. And I would suggest like reaching out to people that are in positions that maybe you're interested in, and speaking to them. Even with people in NALHE and La Mesa, reaching out to them in LinkedIn, and just doing research on different positions that you feel you might be interested in. But it's really just more about taking any opportunity that you can, and as close to the field that you want, but even then your mind might change. So I would just suggest taking any opportunity you can.
Thank you both. I definitely like your advice. That's what I did. As soon as I finished undergrad, I thought I was going to go to PA school. So I just started in healthcare to see if I liked direct patient care. I was too nervous, didn't want to be responsible for advocating. I honestly was giving shots. I can't do that. So I decided to research, well, I like business. How do I mix business and healthcare together? And then it turned out to be healthcare administration. So I'm thankful for that early career opportunity, so I can get in there and see if I like healthcare or not. So next question, what advice do you have for embracing technological advancements to remain competitive in the job market? And I like this question because I know there's been a lot of talk about AI in healthcare. So how can you stay up to date? Does anyone have an answer for that question?
I can start off, and I'm sure others can, but it's relevant because healthcare, as we've mentioned before, is so dynamic and is changing. People ask me, what are my thoughts and for the future of healthcare in 5 years? It's like I can't even predict, a year, 18 months down with as fast as technology is advancing. So, my normal go-tos are advisory board, SG2. There's a lot of consulting firms out there that just give you, emergent technologies. But I'll also say something that it's not, healthcare is typically not where the innovation is occurring. It's actually occurring in IT or other industries, and then we learn from those. So biowearables is a good example of that. So what I would say is keep up with trends that you're seeing industry in different industries, and then ask the question of, does that have an application to healthcare? Because we're seeing that many of these are intersecting with healthcare, and we're not prepared for them.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Stephen. And just to piggyback off of that, definitely emphasizing doing your research, doing your homework, especially in my field with neurology, that experience that we've or that I've had in the last few years. There's a lot of technological advancements, primarily with stroke and concussion care using AI. I've been kind of in the forefront of one of our major studies, which is actually the biggest enrolling study that's related with just in research in general. I think I enrolled somewhere around like 400 plus people for this one study related to AI and with Methodist, essentially trying to detect early onset stroke symptoms using like an iPad, having them say a sentence, describe a picture, and it'll basically tell you everything you need to know, what kind of stroke they're having, where they need to go, where they need to seek treatment. So it's a lot of big scale things like that, but also looking at it from a smaller scale, just in terms of being competitive in the job market, like taking advantage of, I guess, I'm not sure in terms of what AI software primarily people use, but like ChatGPT, or like I know LinkedIn uses their AI. I just used it to improve my bio on LinkedIn. I like cleaned up a lot of my bio. You can do the same thing with your cover letters, your resumes. Of course, making sure that it sounds like you and not taking it all 100% and all that, but just making sure that it conveys whatever you want it to convey and it's authentic to you. And it can hopefully pull out or like point out a lot of different flaws as well as opportunities for better improvement.
Thank you, Arthur and Stephen. So our last question, what inspired you to apply to La Mesa, and what is the most important takeaway for you? We'll start with Jorge.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was interviewing for internships, I was interviewing throughout the Chicagoland area, and there was a president of an advocate healthcare sort of hospital who was very involved in mentoring and sort of guiding Latino executives. And she sort of gave me the advice to sort of go to Congress, ACAC Congress, and see how many people look like you, see how many people have a similar name to you. And when I went to ACAC Congress, I noticed that, sure, there were a few individuals that looked like me, but it was not necessarily something that I saw tons of Hispanic people named Jorge or something like that. So I really sort of wanted to join La Mesa to have the opportunity to connect with people throughout the U.S. In different sort of spheres within healthcare administration, and hear their journey, hear their why, hear their sort of aspirations. And I think one of the benefits of La Mesa is that I saw a comment from Mr. sort of Dave Ortiz, who is one of my mentors who we meet here and there. So he's been great. He's been giving me sort of good advice as I sort of think about my healthcare sort of journey, my healthcare career. So really sort of appreciative of that, and also appreciative of the people within this panel and within my cohort. Hearing their journeys, hearing their why has been really helpful.
Yeah, I think in a similar vein to Jorge, I really applied to La Mesa because I knew that I would find community here, and community in the professional sense. I had gone to the NAHSE conference back in October of last year, and it was so empowering to see how, connected, how just the network was insane. It was so nice. I felt just inspired in that space, and I was curious, right? What is there something like this for the Latino professional community? And I encountered NALHE and this program, and it was a no-brainer that I would apply and try to be in this space, right? To learn from the experiences of my peers, right? Peers who look like me, who are first generation, who've had similar experiences to mine, to hear what they're doing in their careers, how they're making strides, because I think that that support is incredibly important. It's empowering, right, to be in this space and to just see, that it is possible, right? Even though when you're out there and you're perhaps in your own organization and you don't see that immediate, representation, it's empowering to be in a space like this. And I think that was my primary, kind of goal with being in La Mesa was to create that community and to be able to share experiences, to learn from each other, share tools. Yeah, and then the benefits of La Mesa are so many, too many to count. I think I will say the network is a big one. I cannot emphasize enough how important having a network is. And once you leave this program, you have dozens and dozens of people who you'll just say, yeah, I was in La Mesa, and that immediately will be a connection that you can utilize and leverage, right, moving forward in your career. And Summit next month is going to be also incredible. I'm super, super excited for that and to meet everyone in person. But the sessions have each and every one been so unique. And I think that from each of them, I can sit here for a while, right, to just detail the things and the learnings I've taken from each of them.
Yeah, I think I agree with Natalie and Jorge on this one, but I think for me, I saw it through my friend who's on the panel today, Elizabeth, how La Mesa offered her opportunities to develop professionally and personally. And I'm more of a shy person, so I just had to seek out opportunities, to engage with experienced leaders and mentors and learn how to network, because I had no idea how to network. And I found that in La Mesa. And as an early careerist and as an older one, I am older than probably everyone on the panel. So, but I was like struggling to find others that were going through the same struggles as me. And through La Mesa, I've been able to meet others who not only look like me, but they were able to share similar stories about our upbringing and about our journeys. And then through my mentor and the mentorship program and others in my cohort, I found it really doesn't matter how late I started, there's so many opportunities and there's so many people that are willing to help me on my journey. And, I had a chance to meet one of our cohort members in person, and I'm just excited to meet everyone next month at Summit, to put names to faces to names and continue sharing our stories in person.
Yeah, I think you're going to hear a lot of what has already been mentioned in my answer as well. But for me, I think that what I mentioned earlier, just about the mentorship and how much I valued that so far, that I saw La Mesa as an opportunity to further that mentorship opportunity. But for me, that was one of like the biggest takeaways as well. And one of the biggest benefits was that mentorship was in a more comfortable setting for me, like Jorge mentioned, you don't get to see a lot of people that look like you in this field. So that gives you a little bit more sense of comfortability to really start your career off in a safe place. But then also get to see and hear what everyone else is doing around the country. That is a huge benefit, I think, because just, I'm from Denver, Colorado, but then coming all the way to the south in San Antonio, Texas, there are two very different population groups, and just seeing how things are different, how things are ran, and hearing about it is very beneficial as well.
No, thank you. I can't stop smiling because everything that all of you have said is exactly what I was looking for in a network. I remember I was with my friend Veronica Rodriguez, who's also a part of NALHE in La Mesa. We were chatting by the candy bowl at work saying like, oh, I wish there was an organization that was for Latinos. And this was before NALHE DFW had started their chapter. And thanks to Daffodil Baez, she pulled us aside and was like, they're building a NALHE DFW chapter. And we were like, what's that? What are you talking about? And then we went, met Lori, met Rolando, and met Marcos. And now we have this network of people who are just as passionate about healthcare and are excited to be part of the future and influence change in the healthcare space. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Stephen Foster. But wonderful job, everyone.
Okay, well, thank you to our moderators, panelists, and audience, of course, for participating in the 4th annual NALHE La Mesa Emerging Leaders panel. I'd like to be the first to really congratulate our panelists on their completion of the La Mesa program. Of course, we can't let you get away with without a few announcements. So the most important one, I think we've said it a couple of times, is the NALHE Annual Leadership Summit. We'll be in Irving, Texas from September 11th through the 13th, 2024. Make sure you sign up now, get your reservations. Our keynote speaker this year is former NASA astronaut. You saw him at the beginning of the presentation. That's Jose Hernandez. Please follow the link in the chat for more information about our national conference. This one's going to be amazing, guys. If you would like more information about NALHE, La Mesa Emerging Leaders Program, please also follow the link in the chat to learn more or connect with our fellow panelists on LinkedIn. Finally, please join us next week for the part 2 of the Career Launchpad Insights from Emerging Leaders on August 22nd at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you again for attending tonight's session. We hope to see you at the NALHE Summit in September. Have a good evening. Buenas noches.